This video will look at the interrelationship of functional units within a business organization. The functional units are simply the various departments that contribute towards the output of the business or towards the well-being of the business. So, for example, the accountancy department is a functional area. Its function is to provide accountancy services. The stores department is a functional area. It provides access to raw materials and components and keeps records of what's in stock and what needs to be ordered and so on. So we can view organizations as composed of various functional areas, various functional departments, and of course these are linked. They don't simply exist as independent entities. They are linked, and that's something we want to explore briefly in this video. So we're going to talk about the interrelationship of functional units. Well, functional units or departments exist within an organization. Generally speaking, organizations have many functional departments. As I just mentioned, accountancy, but it could be marketing, personnel, HR in other words, production, different departments. And each one is a functional area. Each one looks after its own activities, but are linked to the other functional areas. They must communicate and understand what's happening, and they're all, generally speaking, linked back through the chief executive or the chairman or the managing director, whoever is in charge of that particular organization. Each department works towards achieving overall business objectives. So they know what is required of them in terms of the strategic plan, the corporate plan, and they're working to achieve that output or to achieve those goals. But they're also, of course, contributing towards the development of the strategic plan and contributing towards ideas about the products and what they make and how they're made and innovation, technology, and so on. They're contributing ideas all the times, and of course linking with the other functional areas. All functions within an organization have their own department with roles and responsibilities, and that's generally how we would identify functional areas, as a distinct department with a head of department, a manager perhaps, and with personnel within that department, all looking after different parts of the role of that department. So generally we identify functional areas as subdivisions or departments within a business. It is important that functional departments work together to ensure effective running of the business processes. They don't work independently. The accountancy department, for example, will clearly be providing services to the other departments, perhaps information services about costs and projections about market trends in the future and profitability and returns on investment, and the accountancy department will be furnishing a lot of information to the other departments. But the other departments will also be supplying information and contacts with the different functional areas. So the organization is linked, they're all linked, but the individual departments have got their own particular responsibilities which they must meet, and that to a large extent determine them as a functional area. Now, typical functional departments, and I want to look at a few of these just to give a flavour of what we're talking about. But by and large we have a board of directors, and the board of directors may not be involved in all of the areas. Like, for example, I've got production on the screen at the moment. It may be that the board of directors uh, are operate in an advisory capacity, and there is perhaps a chief executive, one person to whom all the various departments report. Or it could be that they do report to a member of the board of directors who reports back there. But production would be one type of functional department. That's the department that makes the product. We've got marketing, of course, as a functional area, and we can see it is separate, but yet joined further up. Accounts, as I mentioned earlier, human resources, and customer service. We could presumably continue to add different functional areas. There may be one dedicated to product development, one dedicated to the export market, one dedicated to corporate development and perhaps IT. But we could continue to add these. But this is just giving us a flavour of the idea of what is meant behind functional departments. Now let's just look at a few of these in a little more detail, just to get a flavour of what they do. We'll start with the marketing department. Now, the marketing department is responsible for creating customer awareness of the company and its products and services. That's what the marketing department does. It tries to make customers aware of the company and its products, and thereby, of course, paint the company in a good light and try to generate sales for the company. The sales will be the revenue flowing into the business, which the accountancy department will take in as revenue flowing into the business, and then the various other departments will have costs. The accountancy department will reconcile the two of those and try to calculate the profits. So the marketing department, its function is, its vision, or its function, if you like, is like pointing outside of the organization. It's pointing at the customers, trying to determine what the customers want. Market research is an important aspect and useful tool for obtaining feedback on potential and existing products. So the marketing department is looking outwards from the business, looking out at the market in which the product will be sold. But in order to get some insight into the market and the forces operating in that market, it may want to commission market research to find out what the customers feel, what they think, what they're like, and try to get a greater insight so that the product is able, the company is able to tweak its product to match market requirements. Promoting products and services through advertising and promotional techniques. Well, that's what the marketing department does. It promotes the products. It tries to present the products in a favourable light. Good value for money, good quality, reputable product, good design, durability, whatever it is. It'll try to portray the product as desirable in the minds of the customers and thereby generate sales. Taking part in customer relations management and relationship marketing, it tries to relate to the customer. It tries to find out what the customers are like, what they want, tries to satisfy those requirements, and it tries also to have some contact with the customers and stay in touch with them so that the customers can feed back what their specific requirements are. And as the customers' requirements change over time, as invariably they do, they're able to feed that back to the business, who are able to plan for new products and developments of the product to meet the changing requirements of the customers. And that will be a part of this idea of relationship marketing, where the organization has contact with individual customers. Devising pricing strategies, distribution channels, and new product development. Well, that's what the marketing department does effectively, at least hopefully does effectively. Devising pricing strategies tries to work out what the competitors are charging, what the customers can afford to pay, what they want to pay, trying to get the pricing right, and then looking at how the products should be distributed into the marketplace through retailers, wholesalers, directly to the customer. How should it be distributed? And also, what innovations are required, what developments are required, and making sure that any development initiatives are at least broadly in line with those that meet customer requirements as fed back to the marketing department, perhaps through focus groups or through market research or whatever it is. Now the accounts department, well, the accounts department is responsible for the financial aspect of the business. The accounts department look at costs and revenues and what determines the costs and the patterns of costs, and looks at the revenues and the variability in the revenues and seasonality in the revenue, and tries to work out the bills that have to be paid and the outgoings, and tries to keep the business afloat, and also tries to work out the profitability of the business. The department must manage and monitor budgets for each department to ensure that they are not overspending. And that's really the management tool from the accountancy department. They issue each department with a budget. The budget will include labour, overheads, machinery, expendable items, consumable items, items that are used in the course of production. It'll itemize all of those and then issue a budget and try to get the departmental manager to stay within that budget. And in that way there is control of the business. Forecasting future financial demand, consulting senior management on sources of finance for capital expenditure. Sometimes the business wishes to expand, to perhaps borrow some more from the banks or from investors. It needs to prepare documents, financial documents, to show that the expenditure is justified and what the likely returns will be and how the capital raised will be spent. Producing financial statements and recording money received, checking and paying invoices. This is the day-to-day stuff. This is what the accountancy department must do. It must record all revenue received, and it must pay invoices, pay its bills, and must try to work out what the profitability of the business is. Must ensure that the business is viable. It's continuing and making progress. It must feed back on the financial position of the business. Preparation of payroll and ensuring staff receive wages on time. It must do a cash flow statement to make sure that it's got the resources to pay bills as they come due. When bills arrive, the accountancy department must ensure that the revenues are available, the money is available to pay those bills. Otherwise, there may be legal action against the business, or the business will develop a bad reputation. To avoid the problems, it must have good cash flow projections. Now the human resource department, well, this is concerned with employee welfare, recruitment and selection of employees. Again, this is what it does. It looks after the employees to make sure health and safety issues and training and the development issues are looked after. But it also has to recruit and select employees, recruit the appropriate employees, the ones with the right skills and competencies, the right attitudes towards work and towards the organisation, ones who will want to work for the organisation and who will engage with the work ethic within the business. They are responsible for advertising job vacancies, receiving and recording all job applications, shortlisting and selecting. That's what the HR department does. It recruits, and it goes through all the processes of recruiting. Ensure staff are receiving appropriate training and continuous professional development opportunities. It's not just simply a matter of recruiting people into the business. It's developing those people so that they become more productive over time, ensuring that they've got access to training courses and skills and are encouraged to engage in development programs. Monitoring and working conditions, monitoring working conditions I should say, health and safety issues, and maintain accident records. It's important that the HR department should look after the welfare of the employees. The employees want to feel safe at work. They want to feel that they're able to concentrate on their work activities, that they're not in danger, that the machinery is properly maintained and that guards are in place and there are fire escapes and they are trained how to use the safety equipment and procedures. So the onus here is on the HR department to make sure that the employees are safe and that there is good clean water to drink, good toilet facilities, good rest facilities during breaks from work, that there is medical facilities available in the event of accidents, and that they have holiday entitlement, and that the work is not over arduous, that they are capable of completing the work without undue stress. Disciplinary procedures, employee protection against discrimination and harassment. Sometimes issues do arise at work. I mean, the companies tend to be little communities, and there are a variety of personnel within those companies, within those communities, and disputes may arise, issues may arise, and these have to be resolved. Sometimes the HR department get involved in trying to reconcile the sides or to abate the issue, whatever the issue is, try to reduce it and get a working solution. But it also may be that some workers abuse the company, perhaps are persistently late for work, holding up production, or turn up to work perhaps with alcohol in the system, or whatever it is. So disciplinary procedures have to take place, and these are investigative to ensure that there is a case to be answered, and if the case is to be answered, that the employee, let's say, who's accused of some issue, has good representation to defend him or herself, and that the case is as dispassionate and as fair as is possible. Monitoring the terms and conditions of employment, including wage rates, maintaining staff records, and employee turnover. The HR department should be good at keeping records and working out why, let's say, employee turnover is high, what's causing it, making sure that there are good staff records maintained, making sure that remuneration is accurate and is fair and is sufficient to motivate the employees to make good effort, but also is fair in terms of what has been paid within the economy for similar activities. but also ensure that there's no discrimination or unfairness within the system. The production department. Well, the production department is responsible for the production and assembling of finished products. It's the production department who makes the output, whatever it is. They take in raw materials on one side and fashion those raw materials into the final product. So they have purchasing, storing and checking raw materials. That's a part of their function. They also plan production schedules to ensure maximize machine capacity and staff utilization. They must be efficient about the way they go about their activities. They must try to ensure that the machines are used in an optimal fashion and that the employees are working within their capacity. They are not under undue stress. But they must also ensure that there's good quality work and diligence amongst the workforce to generate or to manufacture a product which accords with the desires and requirements of the customer, who want a good quality product, good value for money. So they do conduct quality assurance of finished goods throughout the production process. They do check to make sure that the items are produced properly. But they have responsibility for maintaining the machinery, maintaining the plant, for training, making sure that the operators are adequately trained. They try to ensure efficiency and the adoption of new technology where appropriate. So they try to ensure that production's on schedule and resolving delays or problems. They try to fix any delays. They try to remove the problems, trying to ensure that production is smooth from start to finish and is continuous. It's using the facilities in an optimal way. The customer service department. Well, this department is responsible for dealing with customer complaints, inquiries and resolving problems. This department is really the interface between the customers and the organization. This is the one that's in between. The customers contact the customer service department to complain about a product that's broken, or the quality was not what they expected, or they have some issue. And when they have an issue, they contact the customer service department, and the customer service department try to rectify the problem so as to ensure good customer relations and perhaps the possibility of future sales to that customer as well. Customer inquiries can be about products and services, provide information and advice to meet customer needs. Sometimes customers may phone not to express a grievance about a product or about some experience they've had in purchasing the product. They may provide information. They may phone up to say the product is very good, but it's a pity it doesn't have this particular facility. And that's a source of information for the company, and the customer service department may feed that back to senior management, who may look at innovating the product in the future to incorporate that particular suggestion. So it's a source of information. It's a contact with the customers. They provide after-sales service, insurance, refunds, arranging for repairs. If the product is faulty, it's the customer service department who will deal with the issue, who will provide a replacement or get the existing one fixed. They ensure complaints are dealt with according to company procedures and policies. So there is a procedure. They don't just make it up. They have set procedures. In the event of a certain issue, they go to a certain procedure, and the procedure will offer solutions. And hopefully those solutions will allay the criticisms on the part of the customer and paint the organization in a good light, so the organization may anticipate good future sales. They may, of course, also conduct customer satisfaction surveys and measure customer feedback. They may try to find out how the customers feel about the product and about the company. And if there are issues, try to figure out what the issues are. If there are adverse issues, try to figure out what those are and try to get remedial action to reduce or eliminate those criticisms. So what we've done in this video is we've picked some functional areas. As I said right at the start, there are many functional areas that we haven't looked at, but they're there. I've just picked a few just to talk about what they do and also show how they're linked within the organization, so that we can see functional areas as quite independent areas on the one hand, but on the other hand linked. They communicate with each other, there's information flows between each of them, but also they have got their own particular responsibilities, and that's the purpose of this particular talk. And that's all we're going to deal with in this video, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.